Previously on Old Iron Adventures. Aumann Auctions finished their work in California, where we got to see one final look at the Bright Pioneer Collection. Then, we got a glimpse of the festivities happening at the Half Century of Progress show located in Rantoul, Illinois. Finally, Roger gave us a special glimpse at the Aumann Auctions Fall Harvest Sale. Aumann Auctions has been in business for over 60 years and has been the leading force around the world in vintage power. And we're going to show you why. Through adventures around the world, you'll see vintage tractors, trucks, cars, memorabilia, and so much more. Aumann Auctions isn't just an auction company, but a group of men and women with a passion for the stories behind these items. Welcome to Old Iron Adventures. Back on the road, Alex heads to Pine Island, Minnesota, where we get a special look at a gold standard collection.
All right, so we are back on the road again. We're up in Minnesota today. We're starting the collection on the Randy Van Wyck collection, which is honestly just super, super impressive. I mean, he got into internationals and got into them deep, and he really focused in on golden demonstrator tractors, and his restorations on this stuff is second to none. It's really incredible. We're working on the collection now. We're moving all these pallets down and getting things off the shelves. He's got a lot of implements that are also restored to, the 10th degree. So something you don't see very often, but this is a super impressive collection, and yeah, really excited to be here and start doing this.
I got started by, there's a tractor club in our town, and we'd meet for coffee once a week, usually on Sunday mornings. And the guys were telling me that they started this tractor club, that they'd go on a drive in the summertime, and it was so much fun that I should have a tractor to go with them. So growing up, I learned to drive on a 300 utility, so I was kind of in the market for a utility, thinking that would be the one tractor I would buy. And locally there was a 460. This particular 460 was for sale just up the road a few miles, and it became the first tractor we purchased, and that was approximately 2009, I believe. So it came with a loader and things, which we took off and sold off, and of course then we had to have it repainted because it was in its plain Jane clothes. And after that, it just snowballed, I guess, but this was number one. The story behind this one, I had already collected the gold demonstrator tractors, and I'd learned more and more as we went about the history behind the gold paint. IH used the gold paint 3 different times in their promotions, and the first time they used it was in 1957 for the Golden Jubilee pickup, which was produced mainly for the 50th anniversary of the IH truck division. They made approximately 600 gold Jubilee pickups, and they made them extra special. There's extra chrome on this pickup that you don't see on every international pickup. A lot of the internationals were relatively plain, but a Golden Jubilee has chrome and extra accessibles that normal pickups, IH pickups, don't have. Now, this particular pickup, I was watching the internet, searching, and George Kirkham in Lethbridge, Canada, had one that he had restored in his museum. So I contacted him if that was possibly for sale. He said no, it wasn't, but he had restored one for the gentleman I bought it from sometime before that, and he thought that was for sale. So long story short, I ended up buying it out of Calgary, Canada, Alberta, Canada. But come to find out, this pickup was sold originally in Moorhead, Minnesota from the dealership. So it was sold right within this state, and it came home to the same state. So that made it a little extra special, but it was restored in Canada before we bought it. Tractors, I think, kind of have a personality. You get to feeling they're almost human, I guess. But they all came from the factory, bright and shiny, and they all went to the field that first day, you know, in their special clothes, you might say. And if you're going to restore them, in my opinion, they need to be put back in those special clothes just the way they did that first day. And that's the way that's the attitude we've had in restoring tractors, to make them look like that first day they went to the field.
With Alex and Carson still working in the cold Minnesota weather, DJ heads to the even colder Ohio weather, where he begins working on a one-of-a-kind Fordson collection.
We're here doing the Dwayne Herman collection. Dwayne had an extensive Ford collection, and he had so many Fordson tractors too. He's got everything from experimentals, tractors that have never actually been used. He's got a brand new Fordson that's never been used for any field work. He's got a lot of rarer pieces and some neat implements to go with them.
Hi, today we're here at the home of Dwayne Hellman, who passed away in June of 23. We're working with Aumann Auctions to sell his collection, which is a pretty significant and massive collection. Not as much as many are out there. I know they're bigger collections, but Dwayne was my dad. I've got a brother, John, and a sister, Amy. So Dad was a machinist by trade and a farmer. We grew up on a farm, and then my brother and I ended up in machining and manufacturing as well. So this collection has got some pretty significant items, and obviously there's always some sentimental value in some of these items as well, just like this 48 Ford Super Deluxe convertible coupe. It was kind of the first project that I was ever involved with when I was a teenager, and we'd work until noon on a Saturday, and then my brother and Dad and I would go out to the wrecking yards when they still had this kind of stuff and look for parts. So that one has some sentimental value. It's a really nice piece. It's an older restoration. That's a lacquer finish. It's been hand polished. A really pretty rare piece, but again, sentimental value there. So we kind of started there. My dad has been a collector, basically his whole life. I know he started working on Model Ts with his dad back in the 50s, and we have one over here that's a 1917 touring car. My dad and his dad, Emery Hellman, worked on this when my dad was a teenager. It was made from parts, and so this one again, probably some of the more sentimental value here, because I always knew where this was, and Dad finally had the wherewithal to finish the restoration, 15, 20 years ago, whenever it was. So we were able to take rides in this Model T. So, and the collecting bug kind of grew from there. Some people want to call it a disease, and I understand that. But so Dad we were in a Ford family. So if you notice, the collection is Ford and Fordson dominated. And so back to the 48. Well, I'll back up a little bit. This Model T, 1925 Model T pickup truck, is the first Model T I ever drove. They are interesting, that's for sure. So very fun to drive, but not something you want to drive a lot of miles in. So this is 9X. This is kind of the jewel of the Fordson collection. Henry built 16 experimental Fordsons, and as far as we know, 9X is the only one left out of the experimentals. We knew, we had heard that there was a 2X somewhere, but it's never shown up. Nobody's ever claimed to have it. So this is, and you can tell by the 9X is stamped in the block right here to confirm that it is 9X, the only experimental that's known to be in the world for the Fordsons. This has special features that kind of differentiate it. The skirting on the fuel tank. I think at one time they were thinking about putting side panels like a lot of the other tractors, but it never came to fruition. And these are eventually not. They were only on the experimental here. The older ladder side radiators, and there are some other features, starting tank, that differentiate this as the experimental. And we have documentation that Dad found with going to the archives in Ford Museum and found information regarding the experimentals as well. So it's a very special piece, the only one in the world. So I know this is going to garner some interest with the Fordson collectors.
So really the attractors here are really incredible, but there's also a couple other items in addition. We've got a Golden Jubilee International truck and also a Peterbilt semi. But really, if you look through here, I mean, it's hard to pick out kind of like what your favorite is. I mean, he's got, you know, a dozen Golden demonstrator tractors, and anything from 1456 Wheatland to 1456 front wheel assist to 676 utility, which that was built in Japan or finished in Japan. Then you got the big 4100, another big tractor. Just, I mean, there's so much variety here. It's really kind of incredible.
The history I've learned about the Gold demonstrators is it was strictly a promotion to sell tractors. IH had developed the hydro transmission for tractors in probably about 1967 already, but as I understand it, they just weren't taken off. Farmers didn't trust them enough if they would actually invest in them. So they came up with the promotion, and I give the guy a lot of credit, whoever came up with this promotion, because it had to be a little bit courageous on his part to bring it to the board to okay it. To paint their red tractors a different color had to be a major deal. But anyway, the promotion was each dealer could order one Gold demonstrator tractor for their dealership, and they could pick from which model fit their dealership the best. So that's why there's a variety of different models. But then they would get that, they would order the tractor, it would come down the line, the sheet metal would be sent out to a body shop for the Gold paint, and then put back on the tractor as the tractor finished coming down the line. And then it was shipped to the dealership. The idea was for the dealership to let as many farmers as they could, like Jim, Bob, and Fred, to use it during the year and then sell it at a discount at the end of the year. But the agreement was they would paint red over top of that Gold paint because nobody wanted that Gold paint on an IH tractor. But some of these, 4 of ours, for example, never got painted red because I can just about imagine Farmer Jones said, "You knock off another $500 and you can leave it Gold paint," and I bet that's probably what happened. But how we got started is, like I said, we started buying utilities. Well, Danny Anderson, the guy that was doing our mechanical work, said, "Well, if you're going to collect utilities, you should collect the Gold utilities." Well, to be honest, I didn't know anything about them. So watching the internet, I found The 544 utility over there was my first gold utility. Came out of West Virginia. And then soon after that, in Red Power magazine, I saw a 544 high crop or high utility, or this row crop. And the four utilities were the first four I found. Well, soon after, I learned that the utilities are the hardest ones to find. So with a little more effort, might as well get one of each number. And then with a little more effort yet, I could get one of each version of each number. And that's how we were able to obtain our entire collection, hopefully basically one of each version of each number. But I didn't even know what I virtually had, but this row crop 544, over the years, I've come to find this is the only gold demonstrator 544 row crop, to my knowledge, that has ever been made. And I put it out there for people to prove me wrong, because I'm hoping it. I don't want to say something that isn't true, but I put it out there many times that if anybody else knows of one, to let me know. But I've never heard yet of another 544 high utility that's painted gold. So that's kind of the story of how I got to be in the gold demonstrator business.
So this is the 1929 Fordson. This is the first Fordson that my dad, Dwayne, ever purchased from the same place that he bought the 1948 Ford convertible. And he was starting to look at the tractors, especially Fordsons, because restoration for automotive side back in the 70s was just pretty expensive, and he just couldn't afford to delve into the automotive restoration side of things. So Fordsons kind of piqued his interest because they were very inexpensive, and once he understood them and knew what the parts were, he was able to buy a lot of parts. As you'll see in this auction, when he saw a Fordson part, he bought it, because most people didn't know what they were. Carburetors, piece carburetor parts, he would pay $5 for them. They can now sell for $1,000 rebuilt carburetors. So this 1929 was his first Ford, and that started the whole Fordson situation. So this tractor was in a museum in Cincinnati. The museum was owned by Carl Garrett. He had a 1929 collection of Model A's, and Dad and Carl were friends, and Dad agreed to put this in Carl's museum until he passed. So now it's back. So it's on rubber, as you see. It's got some accessories like the headlights, which were an accessory for Fordson. Pretty rare and hard to find. So, but it's a very nice piece. Dad's restorations on tractors were way better than they came out of the factory. So you'd never see a fender painted like this. So that's kind of where the Fordson thing started. And it just grew from there, because he could afford that and enjoyed getting them running. And because it's hard to get these things running if you don't know what you're doing. And it's the simple things, fuel, spark, and air. But knowing how the Fordsons did that can be troublesome. I'm sure as many of you know that have Fordsons. So that's kind of where we're at. That's where the Fordsons started.
I've been with Aumann Auctions since the first of the year now, and we've gone coast to coast doing auctions all over the United States. We're always traveling around to a different state, looking at new collections, seeing things that we've never seen before, and it's been a really cool experience so far. We get to see tractors that haven't seen light in 40 years, or better sometimes, And same with the vehicles as well. We've seen a lot of really cool items this year that stand out, I guess, to big collectors. And being a part of that and getting it out and photoed and that kind of thing, just to show the world that piece of equipment that no one's seen or known or heard of for a long time is really neat. We've pulled out a lot of rarer models that people thought weren't in existence or they couldn't track down, especially some of the more unique stuff that people are keeping a registry of where each one is, and they've just surfaced after 40 or 50 years. I think that's a really cool part of the job. 2025 has been a great year for Aumann. We've done an overwhelming number of auctions this season. We've gotten to see all sorts of cool items, but we're always looking forward to next year. I'm sure that we'll run across even more unique things that we may never see again.
Out here, adventure doesn't always mean far-off lands or mountain peaks. Sometimes it's found in the back roads of the Midwest, in the early mornings, the laughter between friends, and the sound of an engine coming back to life. Every tractor, every auction, every handshake. It all tells the story of Aumann Auctions, the team that never stops moving, never stops learning, and never forgets where they came from. Whether they're chasing the next barn find or helping a family pass down a lifetime's worth of memories, they do it with heart. This season, we laughed, we cried, and we remembered why we do what we do. So here's to the road ahead, to more stories, more friendships, and more old iron. This is Old Iron Adventures.